CD, you're on deck. Stands up first.
Okay.
The prompt is waiting. Don't worry. The artist knows you're here for the wine and cheese. And the artist knows the price you're willing to pay is to stand in front of a work of art, perhaps lean in and ask, wait for it, what does it mean?
Not pink moon. This is from the night vision prompt. Not too cloudy to see glow that coats my soul, emotions, gut, to fever pitch witch, or siren sexy, or just wipes me out. Some extreme or other, sometimes all them, but this time, too much while not enough, like terrible beauty of isolation singing loudly off key in sky for us, like neighbor with bagpipes on next door balcony of small city apartment. Yet I am out here in never wonderland, howling with coyotes, with my dog answering coyotes, hoping my neighbors howl too. Oh, oh, oh. This full moon only pearlescent, not pinkish as advertised. So, oh, this special quality, quantity of light so overshines street light, even stars, blinds eyes, open all night like neon diner sign. This super flashlight flashing refuses to blush pink like mere rose.
This is from the Sundry Fragments prompt. A list of things to scatter like salt on a fire. Dry leaves will remind you of the pocket knife you lost in a field at night. Their dust will linger in your nostrils and stick to your skin. Fish scales will make you feel wealthy, a king of seas. Soil will stir the green parts of your heart. Pencil shavings will unwrite your bad dreams. Ashes will season the earth like salt, quenching the flames that burn, leaving a black glass you press flat against your cheek, so cool and smooth to soothe yourself to sleep.
This is where I am from. From a moon shadow landing on my feet, but not until my sister led the way head first. Twin A and twin B, that's me, together in the womb that had already carried to term 6 and now 7 and 8. Simultaneously spawned, independently born, carefully raised by many hands that branch our family tree. Tasked with diapering and feeding, I'm sure, loads of laundry, then naps after lullabies sweet and demure. Sometimes with so many around, although lots of laughter and fun, the smallness of my growing steps overwhelmed me too much into myself, and I lived there so long. I know the warmth of the sun, but there I just get burned, because a moon shadow is where I am from.
Yeah.
Greer, I'm really glad you picked Sundry Fragments, because that's the one I'm going to do too. Pieces of chords drift, phrases of songs, long presence, now sluice the channels, freeing shame for the long journey to just, where my dog no longer limps in this alarming manner. Sunshine toasts the tips of my wool-clad toes after walking by the river and late breakfast, and I remember forward how to woman across, right around a man up, as I slip into myself. Shoulders shimmy, a pillow neat in the sun, I am lucky, like a cat. 9 lives feels close, like what I may have earned. Money is not why I enjoy my work, apparently. Surrounded by culinary arts, I wonder that I manage to be paid for this until I tuck in. When that morphs into why so much less than so many others after so many years, and I begin to wonder, what's next? Preferencing hierarchy makes me feel slimy, like the touch of that uncle I was supposed to stay away from and not discuss. I was blamed for speaking, for the inequity of it, for never throwing shade at the girls, for talking about the primordial dark we were kept to. I make a lot of rules for myself and tell me they set me free. I wonder, which is never a waste.
Mm.
Hard to tell day for night when enough toilet paper to wrap around the world 4,437 times still isn't enough.
Yeah.
When firearms are essential business. When lines form in parking lots in Oregon and Texas and maybe even where you live, 6 feet apart, hungry for ammunition. When minimum wage has to wear its own mask to ring cash registers. When he spends 8 hours standing inside the droplets of others. When she has to have a Q-tip shoved 4 feet up her nose to wait days for an answer. When next week, when tomorrow are bottomless pits. When 243 years in a fool's feast of privilege, septuagenarians pushing octogenaria are still mud wrestling for the throne.
Mm. Yeah. You know where this is going. You can hear the bells on the jester's cap, trying to keep all the balls in the air while playing with a Sharpie on the weather map. Step right up, step right in. See the fork-tongued tweeter spew out spin. Some jesters play the heavy. Some jesters play the clown. Some think they're in a Western as the new sheriff in town. Listen, we've all learned about graphs. The jester has to know. When he falls, the audience still laughs.
This is from the objection of broken boxes prompt. Mommy box. Objectification, beification, ostracism. Not in that order or any, dear, petite, beautiful mother dearest, who would have been 93 tomorrow. You crammed your feet into high heels, 2 sizes too small, that deformed your little toes like an introduction to foot binding. How could any foot fit in points that sharp, dear Cinderella? These 2 facelifts you didn't want anybody to know about. First, when they said you were too old to get the CPA job you'd worked so hard to qualify for, you turned the clock back when you could get away with it. No one asked a lady her age. Then you had to repeat so many potions and required artifice. How wearying it must have all been. Earlier, before a widow, no one objected to a husband asking his wife to stay home and mind the 3 children she'd mindlessly birthed. 1 minute so happy her middle one was a girl to spoil and ignore, next reminding me I was an accident. Ever since that first Barbie, probably before, again with the jewel-encrusted pointy flats I cried not to wear, knew I didn't fit into the box you'd gotten stuck in. Never any pedestal to be kicked off of, just soggy old corrugated cardboard reinforced with fiberglass tape you barely found your way out of. Your glorious example, your fiercely ambivalent love, my box cutter.
Wow.
Tricks, bitch. It's about strut. How I kick the screen door, how I use my hip to knock it shut. It's about never stopping, always a joke before a breath, your meal before my meal, your needs before my needs. Let me cover that shift. Let me chop, spin, swagger, swear. I'll make you forget that I have tits. I'll lift more weight. I'll work longer, boy. I'll go harder in the hot seat than you can thrust. When I say pick up, I hope you do. I mean the pace. And when I yell herd, I hope you hear it in your bones long after you've gone home.
Night vision. In the middle of the night, the hallway to my mother's bedroom was so long and scary. In the back of our bedroom closet, we had a tunnel lined in insulation, cobwebs, and a peephole through the sheetrock that shed just enough light for the brave, freaked out little girls who dared to touch the far end. I never made it. In the middle of the night, the hallway to my bathroom is long, not scary. In the back of my mind, lined with the insulation of youth-time naivete and fading cobwebs memories, I look for the peephole through the sheetrock of my past for just enough light to brighten tomorrow at the end of my freaked out day of night vision, to be carried away by that sliver of hope. I will make it.
Yeah.
All right.
Ekphrasis that I did. Holy Saturday. Today, the Savior visits the deep to retrieve those righteous souls who don't belong. Waiting for epiphany out of season feels careless, as though time is linear, or healthcare is accessible, or some white guy will show up to save us from ourselves. Shining beacon, arms stretched in the spring sun, drawing up all that fell from heaven yesterday through rich earth, feeding buds, life flows gently, still slightly sluggish in the early chill, sheltering birds, bards, bugs. We are the same, you and me. Sit with it, grow the roots, fearing permanence is a disguise only. Grow the roots and bend and sway. Income, food, shelter, yet misery. What metaphoric deep in a dark night of the soul? Without brimstone, this passes as good enough. Don't settle. Retrieval is possible. Love, be enough.
Cool. So this is called East Mountain, and it was a response to objection of broken boxes. My feet still remember where all your hidden roots are, the way they weave beneath the leaves along your path. Toes know how to land in the spaces between them, a dance encoded somewhere between Foursquare and Red Rover. Children broken into boxes even more as we got older, but the more they taught us boxes, the more I broke away. Barefoot dancer finding answers carved in stones. All your faces blushing green with ancient moss, I walked alone, never lonely. Days when yours was the only kind of company I wanted. The times all my haunted would be gone at the top of you. Footholds in the rocks where generations of us flocked in search of birds and bird's eye views. Trees part and clouds clear, and you show me the whole of it. This county, all its towns, all the boxes I tried growing in. Fingers finding grooves in the boulders at your peak. I trace the lines in your hands, a language I used to speak, it's coming back now. In fact, as I feel along your lifeline, I remember how to read it and how to read my own.
Mm.
Oh, that's great.
Know this, one is not enough. Keeping an eye on the ball is the last thing you should be keeping an eye on. It's delusion, an illusion, a gimmick, a trick, not unlike pick a pocket or two. It's a subterfuge meant to confuse. It's a slight so subtle meant to muddle while you're holding your hat. They're stealing your shoe.
"2020 weight management. I remind you again not to speak of pandemics and assassinations while I digest my morning repast aghast at last. Try flowers instead. Yes, I settle for the weather. You recite every upcoming dreary detail and how our neighbor shouts about a little snow like it's the end of the world. Finally lost half my goal. Funny how scarcity makes me more determined. My little fuck you to binge eating. My little fuck you to that female set point based on centuries of women giving up what they had to children and men. My little fuck you to this virus when I'm finally healthy after a decade of health problems, getting fit to go nowhere to show off what's off to nobody. I pat my shrinking Buddha belly and ask its wisdom to stay long after it's gone.
Oh, wow.
That's so good.
That set point line.
I had to hear that read. That was beautiful.
Asking the wisdom to stay long after it's gone. I love that.
Greer, you want to go again?
I'll read this little tiny short one I wrote today. As usual, I'm behind. So this is from the night vision prompt. Bright tapestry. Cells are stitches across the surface of an eye. Fine threads of gold, lapis lazuli. Reflections are riches that gleam in the dark. Anatomical structure that imitates art.
This is secret recipe.
Ooh.
Pine needle sap and sticky sticks stirred in a pot, but not just for kicks. Add poisonous red berries from the mysterious bush, smashed and smashed into squishy ghoulish gush. Maybe some dirt if the getting was good, and lots of green leaves, as many as we could. No song, no dance, no secret recipe, just the childhood creations of little girls 3.
Yeah.
The alliteration in that was just so delicious.
You didn't want to really eat it though.
No, exactly.
It sounds like so many like meals that my children bring me though. Like,
Of course.
have a bucket full of garbage, Mom.
It's universal.
That one really makes me smile though. I love that.
But it's good for
Like the Macbeth witches, the
Yes,
Macbeth
that's
witches.
exactly
That's what I
what I
kept
was
thinking
thinking.
as kids. They're getting ready to, stir the pot, baby. That's what I kept
Exactly.
thinking when I read it online. Yeah.
Jeanne, how about
So I get it. Rarity creates value. Secrecy creates scarcity. Ergo, secrecy creates value, basic supply and demand. But what makes a recipe, really? I can hand over a piece of paper I got from my mother with her notes taken in her recipe shorthand, and you will find yourself in a foreign land. The ingredients, familiar, and the measurements too. But what exactly does a chopped onion mean to you? Do you peel it first? Probably, unless it's stock. But since it's chopped, are the pieces random or are they even? Every person has a different idea of what is perfect or what is correct or what is tolerable. Is it a dice, a fine dice, a brunoise, a mince? Do your people even think of this? Is it weird that I wonder to you? Or do you wonder too? When I ask this, am I nosy or simply curious? And when I tell you that you're wrong, can you deal with it? Or do you lose it? If I comfort you, does the gesture make me weak or is it strong? Do you get upset if I don't play along? I am compassionate. I am loving. That isn't pity, it is kindness. About all these bits, we have to guess and do our best. So when I show you my humanness, I only hope you notice this. Showing up is how I woman across. Man up is knocking us down. The pieces, shape, and size are irrelevant when I decide to enjoy what I'm given. Secrets make too many assumptions. Value is inherent. Preference, confronted with hunger, becomes irrelevant. We can choose to be fed. At least, I know I can. What you can do is up to you, love. It's up to you.
Yeah, nice.
Whew. Yeah.
This is Night Vision, and it's called Midnight. You talked us into every sleepover adventure and kept us company upstairs on all those sleepless Christmas Eves. You were the cool older cousin pouring flutes of champagne so the kids could ring in the new year. Silver sequins from your dress would make a starry little mess on the nights you dazzled us with your presence. What was sweet at 6 and 7 wasn't fun at 17, and your frequent sequin visits meant I had a lot to clean. Every night, ruthless pounding on my dorm room door, even when I asked you not to come by anymore. Told you I was tired, but you shook me out of bed, pointed out the mess of sequins on the floor inside my head. You were the one who made the playlist that you knew would make me weep. The one who walked me to my car when I should have been asleep. You sat next to me in my passenger seat, and I'd drive us in spirals to nowhere. Out in the boonies, no streetlights, no houses for miles. Night after night, you insisted we go there. 24 is the story of learning what you have been trying for years now to teach me. In the mirrors on your dress, I saw my darkness reflected, placed my shaking hand in yours, and you held it. I hold on to your lessons when I'm sitting in sessions with the ones who are lost in the boonies. Not a streetlight in sight. I go with them into the night. In our mess, in the dark, that's where the truth lives.
That was great.
Very good.
But it was written in probably the last week or so. So I'm sure that reading the 30/30 poetry, like subconsciously, probably contributed to this. Like maybe, yeah, but it wasn't,
We'll take
all
it.
right, it wasn't
Well,
directly.
that makes it ekphrasis. That
Oh,
makes it
yeah.
ekphrasis,
I
right?
love
So
that. Yeah. And then I've also, well, cool. But it's all right. Screwed myself over because this is like, whatever. You'll see. It's fine. I'll just read it. Okay. That's what we'll do. So this is called The Girl from Your Poems, but not your poems. So just definitely don't think that I mean that. Okay, cool. The girl from your poems. Shall you compare her to a summer's day? She is so lovely to wish you could kiss. Face that launched your 1,000 ships. Her favorite flavor of ice cream is rose. She got her dress from an old chest in an old attic of an old house on an old farm on an old dirt road that was forgotten long ago. She throws a tea party for her and nobody on a Thursday just because. On her dresser, you'll find seashells in a basket full of hand-carved combs that she wears 2 at a time. When she lets down her hair, the whole room is a Japanese village in full cherry blossom bloom. You never wrote her hair a color, so it doesn't have one. In fact, her hair doesn't exist at all until you're there to get lost in it. Lost in her. Lost in the pages of her bed. Pages and pages, she has lived through men's pens since the beginning of ages. When you ask her a question, you hear your own poetry recited back to you in her voice. For her birthday, you buy her a necklace in your favorite color. For your anniversary, you play her your favorite song. Sometimes you awaken to a nightmare in which she transforms into a blonde-haired or brown-haired or red-haired somebody. Suddenly, she smiles a little too wide and you notice that her mouth full of pearls has started turning just a little bit yellow. She answers a question in her own words and your ears, so used to ringing to the symphony of your own brilliance, shudder. You can't stand the unfamiliar static of her originality, the audacity. Furious, you turn on her. Who is she and what has she done with your love? You run from this somebody with the passion of 1,000 suns. The faster you run, the sooner you'll meet a nobody, willing to throw you a tea party, babble back at you only when you ask her to. She'll stand still as a statue while you paint her with your words. New girl, same painting you've made 1,000,000 times before. And as new girl stands there, stripped down, shivering, wrinkling quickly from a nobody into a somebody you'll have to run away from, you take a moment, stand back, have a satisfied laugh, say, I love you. You are not looking at the girl, but at the face of the muse that you fashioned, your masterpiece.
Oh, that is so good.
Oh, yeah.
That was so
Excellent.
good.
Excellent.
The
Love the
manic
humor
pixie
in
dream
that.
girl.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, go. You're.
You look like you're in a very lovely, distinguished.
Oh, I'm in Captain Picard's chateau.
Oh, wow.
Go away! You guys are the worst. And you notice how no one else has like people bothering them. It's just me.
Oh, that's only because you missed my dog barking for most of that poem. So
Hey, I
So
was
I-
in a Reiki share and they only had the mics turned on while we said names of people, to send Reiki to. And my dog loudly came up to